Your subconscious is trying to tell you something right now, but you haven't been listening because you've been speaking the wrong language for years, and that's why nothing you want is happening. You do affirmations. You say, "I'm rich," but your subconscious laughs because your bank account is empty, and this contradiction blocks everything. All you need to do is change your language, use questions instead of statements, and doors will begin to open. This video won't tell you to think positively because that doesn't work. Instead, it will teach you the secret language your subconscious truly understands. And know this: the 60 seconds before you fall asleep are the single moment that can change your entire life. But first, have you ever asked yourself, why was it so easy? That question changes everything. Part 1. The secret language of the subconscious. For years, you've watched motivational videos, repeated thousands of affirmations, looked in the mirror in the morning and said, "I'm successful, I'm valuable, I'm rich," but nothing has changed. This isn't due to your inadequacy, weakness of will, or the universe not responding to you. It's because you're using the wrong language, a language your subconscious will never accept and will actively reject. Therefore, no matter how much effort you put in, no matter how sincere you are, the result always remains the same. Statement and question, the critical difference. Now listen very carefully, because what I'm about to say will change everything. Your subconscious objects to statements, but seeks answers to questions. And this difference is so critical that once you understand it, you will see very clearly why years of effort have been wasted. Because when you say, "I am rich," your subconscious immediately objects and says, "No, you aren't. Look at your bank account. Look at your bills. Look at your debts." And this resistance is so strong that no affirmation can overcome this wall. But when you ask, "Why has money come so easily lately?" your subconscious can't argue because the human brain cannot tolerate an open-ended question. It is neurologically programmed to seek answers, and that's where the magic begins. The cognitive gap mechanism. To understand how the brain works, know this: every question you ask opens a loop in your mind, and until this loop closes, that is, until the answer is found, the brain remains uncomfortable. This is a psychological pressure, and to get rid of this pressure, the brain automatically begins to gather evidence, look for patterns, make connections without you forcing it, without conscious effort. And this is where the reticular activation system comes into play. The reticular activation system. Right now, there are billions of stimuli around you. Sounds, images, opportunities, connections, potential changes. But you don't see most of them because your brain can't process them all. It would completely crash. That's why there is a filter called the reticular activation system. And this filter determines what you will notice and what will be completely ignored. And here's the critical point. This filter works not according to logic, but according to subconscious beliefs. So, if your subconscious thinks making money is hard, the filter doesn't automatically eliminate easy money opportunities. It makes them invisible, and you won't perceive them even if they are right in front of you. The power of assumption. Now we come to the deepest layer of the technique. When you ask a question, you embed an assumption within the question. And this assumption completely overcomes resistance, because when you ask, "Why am I so rich?" you're not debating whether you are rich or not. You're assuming you are already rich and simply asking why. The subconscious cannot object to this assumption because the question format presents it as an already accepted fact, and thus you penetrate beneath the defensive walls built over the years, bypass all resistance, and directly reach the deepest layers of the subconscious. Chapter 2: The Golden 60 Seconds Before Sleep. You've learned the technique, but it's useless if you don't know when to apply it, and here's what most people don't know. No 2 hours are alike. Some moments are far more powerful than others, and the most powerful moment is the 60 seconds before falling asleep, because that's the only time you can directly access your subconscious when all your defenses are down and your filters are disabled. And most of us completely waste this golden moment scrolling through our phones, thinking about the stresses of the day, and grappling with the worries of tomorrow. Hypnagogic state. During the transition to sleep, the brain enters a very special state. Brain waves shift from the normal wakefulness beta frequency to a slower alpha frequency, then to an even slower theta frequency. And the theta frequency is very special because it's exactly the brain wave you had as a small child, before filters formed, before you learned doubt. It's the brainwave phase, where you absorb everything directly, without questioning or resisting. And that's why children learn so quickly and are so easily influenced, because the barrier between the conscious mind and the subconscious hasn't fully formed yet. The direct access window. And as you fall asleep, the same thing happens at that very moment of transition. The barrier lowers, the critical mind falls silent, analytical thinking shuts down, and your subconscious fully opens. This moment is like a portal, a window through which you can directly program, implant new beliefs, new realities without any resistance. And this window remains open for only a few minutes. So if you miss it, you have to wait until the next day. But if you use it throughout that night, in your dreams, your brain will process, integrate, and make this new program a part of your own reality. How to ask the right question. Now let me explain the technique step by step. Lie down in bed. Find a comfortable position. Close your eyes and calm yourself by taking a few deep breaths. Then formulate a question in your mind, but this question must be very specific. It should be in the present tense, not the past tense. It should be positive, not negative. It should contain curiosity, not demand. And most importantly, it should include an assumption that has already occurred. For example, why has everything been flowing so easily lately? Or, what change have I made that has made my life so good? Or, why are so many opportunities coming my way? And when you ask this question, you experience a feeling that what you are asking is true, as if it has already happened and you are just wondering why. Emotional intensity. And here's the important point. It's not enough to just repeat the question in your mind. You need to enter the emotional state where the answer to that question is true, because the subconscious reacts not only to words, but also to emotions. So you ask, why am I so rich? But it won't work if you ask it with anxiety and doubt. You need to ask it feeling that you are truly rich, that you have the comfort, freedom, and security that wealth provides. And when you capture that emotional state, the brain doesn't perceive the difference. It doesn't know if it's real or imaginary. It simply feels it. And what you feel becomes your reality. Chapter 3: Daytime Harmony. A bridge from inside out. However, what you do after waking up in the morning is also very important, because what you programmed at night is just a seed. You need to perform harmonious actions throughout the day to grow it, strengthen it, and bring it to reality. And most people make a mistake here. They use the night perfectly, but during the day, they revert to their old habits, repeat their old behaviors, and return to old thought patterns. And this contradiction erases all the programming done during the night. Identity harmony. Here's the secret to true transformation. There must be complete harmony between what you feel inside and what you do outside. So, if you ask, "Why am I so rich?" you should act like a rich person during the day. This doesn't mean spending money you don't have. Rather, feel the comfort, security, generosity, and abundance of a rich person and act from that state. For example, when you go to a cafe and look at the menu, don't think, "Which one is the cheapest?" Think, "What do I want?" Although it may seem like a small difference, it's a huge signal to your subconscious because you're shifting from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. Micro decisions. And transformation doesn't happen in big decisions, but in micro decisions. How you wake up in the morning, how you address yourself, what you think when you see yourself in the mirror, how you stand when talking to someone, what your first reaction is when faced with an opportunity. These may seem small, but your subconscious records each one and constantly checks, is this person really rich? If you're operating from your old, poor identity, the programming you do at night won't work because you'll constantly reinforce the old program throughout the day. The 48-hour rule. And here's something very few people know. If you apply the technique correctly, change begins within 48 hours. This isn't an exaggeration. Many people have experienced and reported this because when you directly access your subconscious, when you change the filters, when you change your identity, the outside world reacts very quickly. Opportunities arise. People approach you differently. Coincidences multiply, and these aren't actually coincidences. You've simply shifted to a different frequency and begun to experience the reality that matches that frequency. Moments of resistance. But pay attention. When change begins, resistance also begins because the old identity doesn't want to die. It has existed for years. It will fight to protect itself, and this resistance manifests itself as follows. Suddenly, old fears return. Old doubts resurface. Thoughts like, "This won't work. I can't change. It's too late," come to mind. And this moment is very critical because most people give up here and say, "See, it didn't work again." But the truth is, this resistance is proof that it is working. If nothing changed, there would be no resistance. Resistance means that the old structure is being shaken. A new structure is being formed. Consistency and patience. And finally, know this. Don't do this one night and then stop. It must become a habit. You repeat the same process every night before going to sleep. You wake up with the same identity every morning. You perform the same consistent actions every day. And consistency becomes your new normal after a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You no longer apply the technique. Technique is becoming your nature. Your subconscious has accepted the new program. Your reticular activation system has adopted the new filters, and you are now living in a different reality. Here's the unimaginable thing. You're not just changing your thoughts, you're changing your reality. And this isn't science fiction. It's a reality confirmed by quantum physics, neuroscience, and psychology, because you are an observer. And an observer changes what they observe. You find what you seek. You experience what you expect. And that's why you're watching this video, because your subconscious knows something needs to change and is showing you the right path. Now, tonight, just before you go to sleep, all you have to do is ask the right question, capture that feeling, and let it go without forcing it, with curiosity, as if it's already happened. When you wake up in the morning, you may not notice it immediately, but something will have changed. The filters will have been adjusted, the doors will have been opened, a new reality will be ready for you. Comment. Tonight, I'm asking the right question. How many will dare